talking smack about your favorite things.
How are you feeling? Alright, about what time are you coming? Nick is harassing me. Where's Papa coming? Where's Papa coming? Where's Papa coming?
Which one is it, Gary? Because if you say 10, you're going to be here at 10. And if you say 10:15, you're going to be here at 10:15. Don't leave us sitting here waiting, wishing, figuring out.
Right up in the air. That's all you get.
Yeah, well, I'm assuming 10 then. Actually, 9:55.
9:55, right. All right. Tell Dave I said hi. All right. Love you. Bye. Tell them Papa will be here at 10. They can play. Oh, teeth, hair, bed.
Teeth, hair, bed. If you guys want what you want, get what you need to get done. Gotta have that motivation.
Yep. I mean, really, I know lots of adults that won't get shit unless they have the motivation. And all of us have more gusto in what we have to do if we have the proper motivation.
I disagree. I think, like, especially like schooling, education-wise, you do a much better job with education and educating yourself and accepting learning when you want to be doing it, as opposed to when your motivation is grades or, hey, I'll pay you or something like that. Since I've started looking for myself and trying to figure things out, that it's like voracious. I just want to know more. And I find myself 3 hours later on my feed, like, okay, I gotta stop because, you know, I'm exhausted and all that stuff, but it just keeps going. Yeah, you must be a badass because people care about you with your dumb fake profile. Aren't you a Jew? Nobody gives a shit about you. Jews are the worst. So I think you're a Jew, right? With that stupid, with your name like that. I mean, and you have that Jew attitude. Here I am, the boss hog. That's pretty Jew-like. So I assume you're a Jew. Yuck. You people are disgusting. Just disgusting. All the way around. Look disgusting, act disgusting, smell disgusting. Like, everything's just disgusting. What a disgusting cult. That's all it is. It's funny how, like, David Koresh was considered a cult leader. But the fucking, the Israelis, the Jews at the top, that's not a cult.
The Mormons.
It's all the same shit. It's just which one is tax-free and accepted by the system and which one isn't.
Which are the ones that the people escape from? The Latter-day Saints?
I wouldn't imagine that's a rule. It's only Jew when it's spelled D-I-A. I'm sure there's all sorts of exceptions to your rule. But you definitely have that Jew attitude. Diamond is Irish. Yeah, once we start getting into all that. I mean, it's all bullshit. It really is bullshit. And that's the difference between you and I is you question things you want to question. I question everything. You were raised upper middle. Of course you were. You have that attitude. The arrogance. It's not a strong ego. It's not confidence. It's arrogance. And that's pretty standard. I question more than you. Yeah. Okay. What'd you do?
I did it. That gave me a notification. I clicked it and that came up.
Um, what? Why is this doing this? This is weird.
Don't know. I handed it to you.
It shouldn't let that happen. I question more than you. How could you even like? What is it? What is this? So what is?
Okay. Oh, wait a second.
How could you
Taken
even
another
begin to
way,
say such stupid
if
nonsense?
he is Jewish and he's saying,
No, he's not. He
I
says,
questioned it more than you.
so you're wrong about me being a Jew. That's okay. I'm okay with being wrong about things. I do know that like you have the same attitude and mindset. So I was raised with zero religion. Okay. Doesn't take away. Well, that's impossible. See, that's how you know how dumb you are, right? Because you think that way. You were raised with zero religion. Well, then you must have been raised off this planet somewhere, right? You must have been raised on in some other country, something somewhere. Because if you're an American, religion has been forced on you. You don't think you're religious? Try going to the bank on Sunday. Hmm? Like that's the stupidity that we think. I unfortunately I despise religion and yet I'm subjected to it all the time. If I drank, I should be allowed to. No, you can play on the game for a minute. If I drank, I should be able to go to buy it on Sunday morning if I feel like it. My father and mother were narcissist materialists. They had no interest in religion.
Huh.
That doesn't even make sense. Narcissist. I can't stand that term.
Why?
It's such a it's like
It's misused.
it's misused, but it's also it's like the whole thing with people how people misuse ego. You know, you should be narcissistic.
No, you shouldn't.
Yes, you should. You should be very like at the end of the day, you're on your own. And you should be looking out for number one. You should care about yourself. Let's just like the whole thing with the ego. You should have a very, very strong ego. You should know what you do well and do that. Now, it's the arrogance that comes into play where you say things like, I question more than you do, bro. You know, that arrogance and thinking like, you could defeat the person. I always use the same example, but the guy that you watched for years get better and better daily because he makes videos of himself doing dribbling drills and shooting 100 times in a row and blah 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 blah. And you've watched this progression in you or me. Let's say it's me. What? Let's say it's me, some 45-year-old guy who used to be good at sports and stuff, thinks, well, I can beat that guy. I can get off the couch and just beat that guy. That's arrogance. That's stupidity. That's the shit I'm not really interested in. But this idea of like, I'm a narcissist because I want nice things, because I work hard and I want a lot of nice shit and I'm proud of my nice shit that I worked hard for, and like there's nothing wrong with that. I don't have time for religion because I'm too busy in reality. Like that's not narcissistic. Narcissism implies the person is extremely self-interested to the point of Psychotic action. Well, then, I mean, then you're using it wrong because I'm sure they weren't doing psychotic shit. I mean, we use words wrong all the time. You know? Oh my God, I hate broccoli so much. Yeah, you hate it? Like, oh. But this is all becomes part of your acceptance. Part of your, this is what the words mean, and you have to follow these rules that are set for you. And that's usually how everything works out. Like my mother divorced my father and married his best friend. Yeah, well, maybe your father also has a tiny dick and she wanted something better. I mean, my wife does this one all the time, and I think we all actually do it. It's strange how, like, when we remember things, we tend to remember them from our adult perspective, remembering the thing. We don't remember what it was like to be 5 years old, 8 years old, 10 years old, witnessing these things with our 8 year old, 10 year old brain and understanding that we had at that point. We tend to put our adult understanding, our adult experience on top of that. And we can't really truly remember what it's like to feel what the kid feels. And so, it's we remember like my wife always thinks she knows what was going on with the adults. She knows what was going on with her dad and mom. And the thing is, you were just a kid. They kept so much from you. You don't know if like your dad liked to stick his finger in your mom's butt every time they had sex and she just hated it and finally had enough of it. Like, you don't know that shit. You want to think you know things, but you don't. So when it comes to the adults in your life, your parents, all that shit, I don't know. The most important thing, like if you say, and the next guy was way worse, well, it sounds like your mom had a lot of fucking issues that probably date back to her childhood, date back to her parents, and things that happened to her as a child that you might not realize happened. They're just people. The hardest thing we can ever do is look at our parents like we look at the guy across the street. The guy across the street, oh, that's just Dave. Whatever. Dave's kind of weird. He does this or that. You don't see you put those monikers of mom and dad or brother, sister, whatever it is, on the person, and then it's like you don't see them for who they truly are. The weirdest thing is how, like, our family is who should treat us the best, but who often ends up treating us the worst because they know they can get away with it. My brother-in-law used to he used to leave he used to sleep in the living room of my wife's house, and he would leave his beer bottles, and she would just get up and go to work, and he'd leave his whole mess out every day. And he knew my wife hated it, but he also knew she'd clean it up, so it didn't matter. And if it was anybody else, she would have had a fucking shit fit about it. But because it's her brother, she just accepts it, and it's just that's how we do things. And people say, well, you don't know what it's like to have a brother or sister, so you can't possibly understand. Yeah, but I did that with my parents. When my parents didn't play by the rules, when the relationship became very one-sided and it's not, there's not an equal respect going back and forth. Well, I don't want that. I don't need to deal with your shit. I don't need, my family doesn't just get to treat my wife like shit because that's what my families do to the new wives that come in until they get through the hazing process or whatever the fuck it is, and everything's okay because everybody wants their cut of the money, so everybody just plays along. Well, sorry, I wasn't going to do that. You're going to treat my wife like shit and single her out and put a bunch of shit on her that she couldn't possibly have anything to do with? And that caused a big rift.
And cost you a lot of money.
She showed me his herpes prescription. The fact that your mother is involving you in that kind of stuff just shows how fucked up she is. Right? She's got some really weird shit going on that she's She's trying to like win the favor of her child by going, here, look at this. See, it's not me. See, it's the crazy guys that I just happened to pick. You know, I said this the other day to my wife, and she got really mad at me. But it's like, it sounds like the people you hung out with, the people you associated yourself with, were really shitty. Were pieces of shits. The dudes that you knew were really shitty. Because you say things like, well, that's how guys are, and that's all my friends were always like that, blah, blah. And it's like, yeah, but that's not how guys are. Maybe those guys were, but not all guys are. And when you know my wife's, you know, her history, her family history and stuff, you can. It's like for her, she shouldn't get embarrassed. She shouldn't get upset. She shouldn't get anything, because when you look at her history, like her history trained her to find those people. You know, when you look at how the family treats each other and all that shit, of course you're gonna. That's what dysfunction is. Dysfunction is you finding comfort, even if it's fucked up and it's bad. It's what you know, so you gravitate towards it. I can tell you this: when I was in, I'll use this example all the time. When I was in California, I, you know, dated a couple of different girls, but there was this one girl. I met her at a bar. We just had this kind of connection. We started talking, joking. We had a lot of fun. It was just like, it was weird. It was like she was just fun, and it was like hanging out with a dude. It was really weird. And I dared her to it was karaoke night. I dared her to get up to the on the karaoke and sing Backdoor Man, which isn't a song about ass play for all you idiots out there. It's a song about the guy that sneaks in the back door when the husband's away. Um, and she did it, and she was up there like, doing all the noises and shit. It was so funny. And so, you know, we hooked up, and you know, we had a good time, and it's the only girl that's ever done it. Actually, it's not. It's this the only other girl that's ever done it. Now that I think about it, because I think the wife did it once.
Did what?
Showed up to Sean's wearing nothing under a coat, or next to nothing under a coat. I think that happened, didn't it? Yeah. So prior to my wife doing that when we were younger, I'd forgotten about that. She was the only one that had ever done that. Showed up to my house with a coat on, and when I opened the door, she was like, haha, and she had something sex on underneath. And she was just really just cool. She was the one chick that I knew, or that I hooked up with, that brought her own weed. She actually brought her own weed. It was like so weird, you know. No, prior, and and she was like, she was living at her grandmother's house where she was taking care of her grandmother who was close to dying. So she was going to inherit the house. She was studying to be a nurse. Like she was a good chick, good head on her shoulders, all that. And she was like, this is back when oxys were the 80 OCs. They were the good oxys. And she sat me down one time and was like, hey, you know, I really like you and I want to go further with this, but you got to stop fucking doing those pills. They're just awful. I hate them. And
Liam Payne fell off a third floor.
I don't even know who Liam Payne is. But me, in my dysfunctional fucking self, like, it freaked me out. And I was like, oh, no, I'm not going to stop, blah, blah, blah. And she was like, all right, well, we could have had fun. And she laughed. And my arrogance, I thought, oh, she'll be back. They always come back. You know, the dysfunctional ones always come back. The ones with their own issues who didn't have the fucking wherewithal to tell me to stop fucking getting high. They always come back. But not the chick with you know, that's literally fighting off offers every time she leaves the house. And I wish I knew who that chick was. I don't even remember her name. I wish I knew who that chick was. But that's like that's what dysfunction is. You know, one of the better looking chicks I ever was with. Definitely one of the more, fun and adventurous and willing to do kind of chicks. And brought her own weed and had a good job and had a car. And, I mean, it was like across the board. And I was like, no, 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 no. No. I got to go with the stripper girl that's going to, call me at 3 in the afternoon and say, hey, you want to have a threesome? And I show up and it's a nasty, ugh. And obviously some other dudes had recently left the party. And like, no, thank you. The house smells like black guys. That if you're going to get mad if I say that, fine. If you pretend like black people and white people don't generally have a different smell, you're crazy. But whatever. I don't care. Let's see. You just proved my point. My parents were narcissist douches. I had nothing to say, so just let me say this. That's right. I mean, Todd Church is here, guys. Goofy ass pedophile Todd Church is here. Meth making and distributing pedophile Todd Church is here. Everybody, say hello to the fucking meth head pedophile who copies everything I do. And is allowed to. That's the difference. Whereas I get censored, he's allowed to. But see, these are I talk about these things because what do I care? Like, it's really crazy. Like, we have to learn how to do that. We have to, like, my wife will tell me stories about her shit. And there's lots of guys that can't take that. And there's even times when it happens where it triggers in my head that I should be getting upset. But then I have to be like, no, that's stupid. Like, it's been programmed in there. And we just need to, like, obviously my wife's not telling me details and I'm not telling her details. But, like, how are you going to be upset about somebody for having any sort of past? That's just stupid. If somebody was, say you find, I mean, there are things where you can say, that crosses a line for me and that's not something I'm comfortable with, and that's fine. You should always want to find those things out earlier than later. The sooner you find those things out, the less you've put into it, and, if you can't handle it, then you get out of it sooner than later. Last thing you want to do is find out, 20 years down the line, you have a couple kids, you're married, you got all your shit is in each other's name, and then you find out something that you can't handle. It's crazy. As much as I think, as much as I think I'm on the right track with the Israel Jew stuff, I'm always, on the right track. Whatever it may be, I'm on the right track. But I think the most dangerous thing about me is the dysfunctional stuff. Because at the end of the day, it really doesn't matter what, if suddenly we all woke up today to text messages saying, there is no God. The U.S. government is finally admitting there is no God. It's all been a Jew control scheme. Israel, blah, blah, blah. People wouldn't handle that well. Because people have been trained to be so dysfunctional and put so much into those things that they're not prepared for, it's like you try to talk to anyone about what they believe. If who are you going to vote for? You vote for Trump or Harris? And if they say Trump, you say, oh, why? Why are you voting for Trump? they're going to immediately be like, oh, so you're a Harris supporter? Oh, so blah, 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 blah. And they'll just start going off. And it's like, dude, I just asked you why you support Trump. Well, the economy was better and there were no wars. Like, that kind of stupid shit will come out, but they're not going to give you any reasonable, like, even, but it's even with what they show us. When you watch the constant propaganda commercials that are either on YouTube. YouTube's the worst, man. YouTube has gotten to this place where maybe every 10 minutes, if that, a political commercial will run, half of which you can't even skip through. And it's usually two commercials, and it's just fucking irritating anymore. Like, all this propaganda and this constant bombardment do is make me hate politics even more. It doesn't make me want to vote. It doesn't make me like the people or support anything. It just makes me hate it. How dare you just, like, this is what brainwashing is. If you repeat the lie loud enough and long enough and enough, people will start to believe it. And that's what this seems like. They're just ramming it down our throats because they know it's bullshit. Both candidates suck. The illusion is falling apart. There's so many of me out there, talking about why are you fucking even voting? Voting is stupid. It's their system, their control scheme is falling apart, and they're desperately trying to, counteract those measures. They're desperately trying to get people to no, look, it's biblical stuff is happening. Look at the oh, there's floods. I mean, the fact that there's not enough talk about North Carolina, about the Appalachians. The Appalachians were a safe place. They were a place for us to go when the shit hits the fan. The Appalachians are huge, and they're hard to get through, but they're full of life, and they're life-giving, life-sustaining places. $2,500 people are still missing or unaccounted for. And that's not a, hey, let's stop everything and try to figure it out situation. It's easier to convince someone of a lie than to convince them they are being lied to. Exactly. That's exactly it. Like, it's crazy too, because it can be super obvious. Again, a hurricane wiped out the mountain towns? What? Everything about religion. Everything about religion. It's like, what proof do you have that any of it's real? Well, it says so. Other than it says so. Of course, the religion itself is going to say so. But what proof do you have? And it's like, you don't even have anything to hang your hat on. You don't have anything to hold on to, and yet you still believe it. You still believe the lie and attack the person like, hey, I care about you. I want you to be in a better situation than you've ever been in, than we have ever been in. We as people, we need to be better and stop falling for this Jewish control scheme. No. That's they act like if it. I think it's funny how religion tries to tell you that belief in God is the absence of ego, when it's the opposite. It's total arrogance. It's the definition of arrogance. If you believe that there's such a thing as God's plan, God has a plan for everything the way it is, and you believe that your dumb ass can pray real hard and give some money, because God doesn't answer prayers, God answers tithing. And the God of the universe that has his plan will be like, okay, let me get my eraser and let me just rewrite it. Okay, now this guy wanted the job. I know I was gonna give it to that guy with with the kids and who needs it really bad, but this guy prayed a bunch and gave a lot more for tithing, so I got to slide him in there. Like that is so arrogant. Do you believe man is God? If man was God, then there wouldn't be an Israel. If man was God, if I was God, if we, people like this, I used to say this one. I am my own God. I used to say that shit all the time when I was young. But now, like, if I was God, if I was a God, I'd be magnetoing it around. I wouldn't even be walking. I'd be floating back and forth. And gods have magic powers. And if there was, number one for me is it's hard to say. Like if I had the one wish, what would I wish? Would I wish that anybody who goes to violate a child has a heart attack and, something like that, or something more reasonable, which is, we overthrow the Jewish control. We can oust the Jews. Then we can fix everything. I've said this for a very long time, man. All the conspiracy trails lead to Israel. They lead to the Jews. Whether your thing is, you're the pedophile hunters, or you're the Tartaria people, or you're whatever the thing is. All these conspiracies, they always it all leads back to who controls the narrative, who controls the way we think about it. How you think is much more important than what you think. That's the thing that most of us don't realize. They control how we think. They have us believing in invisible germs that get us sick. So if you believe that invisible germs get you sick, well, then you'll take medicine. You'll get vaccines. You believe you have an immune system. You can strengthen that immune system. You can, you'll buy special disinfectant products to get rid of the viruses, the invisible germs, and all that shit. Like, they control how you think. Once they control how you think, you believe in space. You believe the Earth is a round ball flying through space. Well, now you'll accept all their shit. You'll accept the NASA, that tax money, that your money has to go to NASA. You'll accept their history of the dinosaurs and how the dinosaurs got wiped out by the big rock that fell from space. You'll accept all their shit because you've already accepted that you live on a ball flying through space. Even though you really have no reason to believe that. Seriously, when you think about that, when you think, why do you believe that you live on a ball flying through space? Is it because your personal experience tells you so? A spinning ball flying through space? Or is it solely because you've been sold that notion, and that's been pushed? That's the only thing that's been pushed on you. You haven't had another option. You've never been told anything else. And anytime anybody has suggested anything else, it was, they were laughed at, they were ridiculed, and they were bullied in a way that you saw and went, oh well, shit, I don't want that to happen to me. So I'm not going to say it. Yeah, it's a round ball flying through space. Do you think man is in the process of discovering that he is God, aka agnosticism? No. No, I don't think we are gods. I think that's a crazy idea. Hang on a second. And she owns up my dick from the back. And I ain't never had that shit before. Shut up! All right, sorry about that. Show is the fight. Sounds like a cat fight. Like, that's disgusting. That's how we are. That's who we are. First of all, it's kids playing video games. But secondly, like, that's disgusting how we are. We are fucking disgusting towards each other. Look, I'm saying all kinds of shit, right? I'm saying shit that goes against the grain. This isn't the way you're supposed to believe. This isn't how you're supposed to look at things. You're supposed to believe in germs. You're supposed to believe in the rocks falling from the sky. So silly when you think about it. You believe rocks are falling from the sky, and that's because we live on a ball flying through space. Like, it's just silly. It really is silly when you think about it. I mean, you believe, like I say, it's controlling how we think. You believe it rains because evaporation, condensation, precipitation. This is one of those mantras that we've learned, very early, like pre-schooling, when you were a kid and you were watching Sesame Street or something like that, or even your parents, because as a kid you ask those questions. Well, why does it rain? And your parents will say, oh, well, it's a process called evaporation, condensation, and precipitation. And if you're lucky, you have the parents that'll do the experiment for you, right? They'll get a couple of bowls out and they'll say, look, the steam from the boiling water flies up and it collects at the top of this bowl, and then it eventually gets heavy enough where it falls down. Because gravity pulls it down, my son, my daughter. And you go, oh man, the parents who are right about everything and who I've been told my whole life that I need to listen to and believe what they say and they are infallible. They're telling me this and this sounds really cool. Okay. And then I'm watching my TV shows and they're showing me, Star Wars with planes flying through space with lasers and the Force and Darth Vader. Fuck yeah, I want to believe in that shit. That sounds awesome. And once they have that, once you believe that, it's good. Now they control, like the idea that they control the weather isn't something that you even begin to think about, or you think that we might be able to do it and we might this and that. And we just, I challenge you guys, go look at the history of tornadoes. Go look up the history of hurricanes. And you can say, oh, well, back in the day, they weren't keeping track like we do now. Really? Because they were keeping track of lots of other shit. They kept track of all kinds of goofy shit back then, but they, for some reason, the finger from God coming down and scraping the ground and just, that wasn't worth talking about. Maybe a handful of times you can find these stories of people talking about this. What? That don't make no sense. Why aren't these? Where are all the earthquakes throughout history? You know, you'll hear about the occasional earthquake that happens, and then I guess people. But it's like, I would imagine people would the earth starts shaking even a little bit, people are going to pay attention and write about it. It's crazy is when you start looking, like you start the history, the accounts that we are supposed to take as like biblical truth. When those accounts start saying things like a bunch of spheres appeared in the sky and blotted out the sun and you know blah blah, and all these things started happening, these light orbs, and you know this happens over Norway or some shit, like there's multiple stories of this happening throughout history, supposedly. And we just like, well, that they must have been exact, all the hundreds of people, they must have it must have had we don't know. We don't know. And we're okay with it. I took supplies to the North Carolina mountains. All the videos on the internet doesn't equal to seeing the devastation in person. I can't even imagine. But that's how it is with everything. I mean, the video is just a yes, thank you, for sure. The video is just a little tiny window into anything. Like my house, my family, and my everything is so much more than this little tiny video that you're seeing right now. And what's happening in North Carolina makes zero sense.
And the fact that, you know, we're not flocking there to help those people.
Right. We're just, do people, okay, so we've given Israel $18 billion in the last year. Like,
It's just, wait, say that
openly,
again.
right? Openly. 18, you can't even, you can't even fathom a billion. Like in your dumb, goyim, stupid head, you could write the number, but you can't fathom what that is. You know, a billion of something is just, it's just so much.
With
and then
Florida, we don't have any business giving money to anybody else. We got to keep paying for Florida.
What are you talking about?
Fucking hurricanes. We have to pay for their 6-7 hurricane destruction every year.
I mean, but I just, it's the idea that we give money to Israel to kill people. They are a first world country.
And that doesn't include weapons.
Right. I'm talking about just the money. They tell you that oh, well, that money is earmarked for military aid. So
I don't give
let's just say it was true, and now Israel doesn't have to spend its own money on military aid. Like either way, it's money.
I have a stash spot that's earmarked for one thing or another. And then the emergencies come up or accounts get hacked or some shit. And guess what? That earmarked money now got used for something else.
National Guard and regular people doing it. It's mostly just regular people helping out, and didn't see zero FEMA up there. Well, that's actually kind of a good thing, because FEMA scares me. But you know, obviously there's probably good people in FEMA and all that shit. But you're right. I mean, but see again, there's 2,500 people missing, at least. And instead of you know.
And why is that not front and center on all the news programs? Why are they not? We're talking, you know, we get the commercials about the forgotten Jews, but we're not hearing about the people that are right now going through a natural disaster war, if you will, of our own people. It's fucking sick. The fires in Wyoming. Nobody's heard about the fires in Wyoming. They are having fucking record fires in Wyoming. That's burning land and houses and
See, I look at
properties.
all that stuff as like, so the first distraction is the president, the
That's the
the you know.
number one distraction. In our face distraction. At least until the second. And who knows? I mean, you know, if dipshit doesn't win, it's not going to be the end of it on the second. We're going to be hearing about it for months afterwards because he's going to fight it.
But so it's
Plan
that's
another
the first
insurrection or whatever.
the first one. And that major stuff is that first line of distraction, right? Then we have this secondary stuff where if you're somebody who gives a shit, if you're a truther, if you're a conspiracy theorist or whatever, what are you going to talk about? You're going to talk about the thing happening 8,000 miles away to the people you don't know? Or are you going to talk about the thing that's happening in your backyard with potential family members and shit like that? This is what Israel does. They create the crises and the turmoil here so we don't pay attention to like it. And you could say, oh well, you know, that blah blah blah. Well, even if you're not paying attention to it, your money is still going to it. Your money is being funneled into the system. Your tax dollars, the money that should be going towards the relief efforts for these people, the money that should be fixing your damn roads, you know, all the infrastructure that needs to be redone in this country. $18 billion goes a long way. How did the U.S. just come up with $18 billion?
18 billion. And we've got people in North Carolina that can't fucking eat or drink water right now.
And then the other place where the Jews are real prominent, Ukraine, I think they said it's over $150 billion has been given so far. But the thing is, like, the Ukraine situation is different. The Ukraine situation is at least being framed as, you know, a defense sort of action. Whereas Israel, it's 100% aggression and genocide. We are paying for a fucking genocide. We are sending our troops over to commit the genocide. Like this. I've shared so many videos on my Facebook page. I shared a video where there was a soldier talking about, I want to, can I see your phone for a second? You guys got to see this shit. Wait.
What babies? We are looking for babies, but there is no babies left. What babies? Say that again.
Look at that smile.
Say it again. No, maybe I killed a girl, she was 12, but I'm looking for a baby. We are looking for babies, but there is no baby.
Those are Israeli soldiers. That's the thing. That's. Yeah, maybe I killed a girl that was 12, but I'm looking for a baby. And yet, when you're told Hamas decapitated and burned 42 babies, you believe that shit. Nobody but me is going, hey, why were 42 babies just like in a little room together? What are you talking about? 42 babies? That doesn't make any sense. But see, what you guys have been falling for is, again, it's more distraction because we say free Palestine. And I get that free Palestine is like the acceptable thing to say. But that's where we need to step up and say, hey, that's bullshit. I can say what I want. And what I'm actually trying to say is end Israel. Because like I told you, even before October 7th, when I told you that October 7th was going to happen, maybe not exact, I was actually late. I said it would happen by December. I didn't think it was going to happen that quickly. They were just itching to get to killing. But prior to that, I'm telling you, it's not about free Palestine. I'm uncomfortable even saying free Palestine because I don't even know what the fuck that means. Does that mean some sort of Muslim or Christian monarchy takes over? Does that mean like the British who controlled Palestine before 1948? What? Okay, so why are you doing that? So maybe you should stop playing if that's the case. Okay, if anything else happens, Nick, you're done. The prior to 1948, May 15th. Isn't it funny how it's May 15th? What else happens on May 15th? You guys know? Tax day. Pay your taxes. It's not tax. April 15th? Oh, my bad. Something else is May 15th though. But anyway, May 15th is considered the Nakba. And literally, like, the British pulled out the day before. Like, the final Brits pulled out the day before. The Brits had been pulling out, like, what they did was for 30 years, they made the Palestinians completely dependent on the British. There wasn't a Palestinian military or force or anything like that. They were completely reliant on the Brits for their protection. So when the Brits pulled out, all you had was a bunch of civilians going, hey, farmers, what am I supposed to do? These guys are coming with guns and shit. And how does Israel have a military when Israel doesn't exist? Hey, weren't you the same guy that was a British soldier protecting me yesterday? Like, that's how they did that. So to say free Palestine, I don't even know what you're even fucking talking about. There was no free Palestine. There wasn't a free Palestine, prior to October 7th. There wasn't a free Palestine prior to 1967. There wasn't a free Palestine prior to 1948. Like, when are we fucking talking about? Are we talking about pre-World War I? Because that's when they set that in motion. What we don't know or realize or pay attention to, even though it's right in front of you, it's literally like, it's amazing to me that it took me so long to see it. Because it's open, like, obvious, bragged about history. They don't even, like, hide it. The Balfour Declaration was written on behest of the Rothschilds, at the word of the Rothschilds, even though it was just the Rothschilds, and they put the Balfour name on it because the Rothschild Declaration would be too obvious. So they made it the Balfour Declaration, which stated that the Jews needed their own place. And the best place to be would be like a Palestine place. It's beautiful there. It's fucking it's amazing there. We dumb Americans think it's, you hear Palestine and you think, oh, I bet it's just all deserts, right? Just all desert sand everywhere, and it looks like Aladdin. It's not. But you look at what the narrative that we're given is, and it's just, it's bullshit. And you don't understand that it's always been about the Jews and Israel. You've been Dave in a basket. You've been told to believe what their propaganda bullshit tells you to believe. But you have your Balfour Declaration, which states that that the Jews need their own place. World War One happens, and World War One's most, like, one of the longest lasting impacts from World War One is the British being in control of Palestine. Somehow, amidst all of the bullshit that was going on World War One wise, the British taking control of Palestine was an important element to this equation. Why do you think that was? That's the main objective. All the other shit is to obfuscate that fact. You're not supposed to see that. You're supposed to see it, but you're supposed to be the Germans and the this and the look at what and the Germans are the at the same time that they're telling us that germs exist. The Germans are the bad guys in both World War One and Two. And the funniest thing is, I don't know why we call it Germany. I don't know why we call them Germans. It's not like anybody's fucking come here and said, hey, stupid, it's obvious, duh. The Germans refer to themselves as the Deutsch. They are from Deutschland. They speak Deutsch. So how that became German, when that became German, I don't fucking know. I guess I could probably look that one up. But that's who the germs are, the bad guys in World War One, and then World War Two shortly thereafter. Now, the narrative that nobody knew was happening. It's so interesting to say it, right? During the supposed Holocaust, during the war, nobody was talking about, hey, where are all the Jews disappearing to? Nobody seemed to notice that all these Jews were disappearing. 6 million. Nobody noticed. Nobody talked about it. Jews getting rounded up all over Europe and blah, blah, blah. Even though there were only 3 million Jews in Europe at the time, and then the part that's considered like Russia, Europe, like that European Russia part, they say there were another 7 million somewhere around there or some shit like that. But most of the Jews, especially the European ones, escaped here. From 1880 something to 1923 or 24, something like that. They say like some 3 or is it 3 or is it 20? Can't remember. It's a big difference, but a large number of Jews immigrated to the United States. They had to until they shut that down, supposedly. I'm gonna just kick him in his face. Gary is late. Gary's 12 minutes late. Yes, he is. If he said 10:15, he should have been here at 10. And if he said 10, he should have been here at 9:45. Whatever. These excuses aren't gonna block. I have expectations. So they do this World War II bullshit. Now, it's interesting how when people talk about World War II, again, the lasting impact is the Holocaust, the Holocaust, the Holocaust. Yet, what about all the Japanese and the Asians and shit that were killed? That's not a Holocaust. That was just the casualties of war, I guess. And you know, I mean, the fact is, prior to Pearl Harbor, December 7th, 1945. Prior to Pearl Harbor, World War I was still a vibrant memory for many, many people. Their fathers, their grandfathers, but lots of their family had died. Like, they knew the horrors of war. And so the people wanted nothing to do. America wanted nothing to do with this bullshit world war going on. Nobody cared about the Jews. As much as they wanted to make us care about them, it wasn't happening. And so they had to do something drastic, which was orchestrate the Pearl Harbor attack. Guys, you don't think, like, are we trying to say that little bitty fighter planes, propeller fighter planes, flew from Japan to the United States to Hawaii? How the fuck did they do that? How much gas did they have? You know, and if that's not the case, if they came from an aircraft carrier of some sort, then we would have known. And the truth is, we did know. It's pretty well known that we knew Pearl Harbor, that Johnson knew Pearl Harbor was going to happen. Isn't it estimated that Mao offed like 40? No, Mao, okay, so what's crazy is, as far as the lasting impact goes, it's always the next Hitler. Hitler is the ultimate bad guy. Why is Hitler the ultimate bad guy? Because he killed the Jews. He killed 6 million, which is absolute bullshit. It's not even what's claimed over there anymore. Here they still push that narrative. At least over there they say it's closer to 3 million now, even though it's not even anywhere near that. It's maybe 300,000, and they died when the supply lines were cut. They died from starvation and shit. They died from bombardments, but it wasn't from, you know, it wasn't that Hitler was making lamps. And, you know, this one woman, she would have us come in and she would eye us, and she chose me because I had such beautiful skin. Oh, I had such beautiful skin. But she said she was going to make gloves out of my skin because I have such beautiful skin. You ever seen that shit? You ever seen the videos of the supposed survivors talking about their shit? It's such arrogant, nonsensical bullshit. It really is terrible. There's a video, if you can find it. It's been scrubbed many, many times, but I just using Google and typing in 6 million lies full movie and see if you can find it. It's a really long movie. It's like 3 hours or some shit. And it could be whittled down a lot because, you know, there's a lot of times where they're just showing you multiple examples of articles that show that they were pushing that 6 million Jews thing long before the supposed war. And every, you know, Papa's here, in multiple different media sources and whatnot, they were pushing this idea of 6 million Jews. Like, you could see it's actually it's important to the narrative. It makes the movie much longer than it needs to be. But watch it. It'll blow your fucking mind. At least it should blow your mind. You know. But Hitler is the ultimate bad guy, when at basically the same time, Stalin and the Bolshevik Jews, Lenin and Marx, the Jews, were killing, they say, upwards of 20 to 25 million Christians in Russia. Oh no, it's not. No, he was removed. No, wait. So Hitler was the 1938 Time Magazine Man of the Year, and they removed him posthumously or whatever, whatever that was. Hang on a second. Hello. Thank you. Appreciate it. Oh shit. Come here, dude. I love you. Be good. Have fun.
You too, Daddy-o.
Yes. Ugh. Um. Leopold, the is he Belgian? Might be Belgian. I can't remember. Belgian king killed 18 to 20 million Africans, and he's still one of the Time Magazine Man of the Years. I can't remember which one, but he hasn't been removed. So you had Stalin and the Bolshevik Jews killing 20 to 25. Leopold killing blacks, Africans, 20 million, 18 to 20 million Africans. And then you had Mao, who maybe Stalin is 20 to 20 or 25 to 50. I can't remember, whatever. But Mao, they say, killed as many as 100 million of his own people. And these are all at the same time. Literally. At this reset time. And maybe they're just killing off all the people that knew the story. People that were here before and knew what happened. I don't know. See, the thing is, when it comes to the Holocaust, one of the biggest, proofs of bullshit to me is the notion that Jews were told they had to wear either the armband or the little badge to identify them. So they did. It's so stupid. It's so stupid. If you think there's more pride in maintaining your identity for whatever little short interaction you're in, knowing it's going to get you and your family killed, as opposed to lying and being like, nope, I hate them. And the guy's like, all right, cool, go on your way, you and your family. If you think there's pride in that, you're fucking stupid. There's literally no pride in that. If you do anything to get your kids killed, there's no pride in that. You crazy? The narrative that we're given is so romanticized. And they romanticize the stupidity so you overlook it. These proud Jews were told to wear their armbands so they could be identified and then get killed, and they did. What? Shut the fuck up. What kind of stupid fucking people are those? It's amazing I'm only allowed 2 people. I start talking about the Holocaust, and boy, do my numbers drop, huh? Interesting how the Red Cross did you guys know that the Red Cross was stationed all over the area, all over Germany, all over in all these different camps and stuff like that? Did you guys know that? Did you know that they didn't report any genocide taking place? Did you know that the camps had their own money? They had their own sports teams. They had their own theater groups. Think about it. If you're gonna build a barracks to house people you end up you planning on killing, which again makes no sense. 1, why would you build a barracks? But 2, why would it have heat, running water and electricity and shit like that? Why would you give them amenities? Did you know that we had the same thing, but we called them Japanese internment camps? Exact same time. At the exact same time, the Americans rounded up all the Japanese in the United States that they could. Because the Japanese were the big deal during World War II. Not the Jews, we didn't round up all the Germans here in the United States. Nope. We rounded up all the Japanese for some reason. Put them in concentration camps and work camps. They're just work camps. They're just camps, really. Didn't even work. They weren't like making products or anything. They were just sort of like hanging out.
One down.
They had, you know, you look at the World Census Report, again, something run by the Jews. And it doesn't, when you look at the history of the Jewish people, I mean, maybe now they've wised up and changed it. I don't know. But forever, it never showed that. You know, prior to the war, 15 million Jews worldwide. During the war, which is a long period, 16 to 17 million Jews. And after the war, 18 million Jews. Their population rose. They didn't drop sharply by 6 million. The idea of 6 million dead bodies. You couldn't, like the whole, they were burning them in the ovens. They would stack them 3 deep. Well, if you stack them 3 deep, it takes thrice as long to burn them. It's not like it just works. Oh, well, now there's just more, so it just burns it. No, it takes longer. It takes more energy. You have to have more components, more of the fuel that you use to run those extremely high temperature furnaces that they have to be super high temp. And when you look at the order forms, we have like the Nazi records of their supply, they don't have, you know, tanks and tanks and tanks of the gases needed to run the kilns. They don't have that. Well, your message got retracted. That's really strange. Did you do it? I didn't do it. Are you gonna? Are all of them gonna disappear here in a minute? Yeah, most of them have. That's weird. Must be mad at me. Isn't it weird how how all of us goyim that don't benefit from the Holocaust narrative still get mad at somebody that denies it? It's like black people and slavery, right? If I say slavery didn't exist, it's not a real thing. Not what you think. The people that are going to get mad at me first and foremost are black people. Black people want to have been slaves for 400 years. And it's probably because at our core, we're embarrassed at who we've been made into. The average, you know, thug black guy, he's an embarrassment. The female as well, especially the females. These females with those long fake ass braids. That shit looks so stupid and it's dangerous as fuck. Again, isn't it interesting how yet another style for black people makes black people easier to be caught by police? You start trying to run, hop fences and shit with that long ass hair, you're going to get stuck. You're going to get caught. It's just like if you're trying to run with your pants sagging. Just like if you're trying to run with no shoelaces in because you're emulating Run DMC. Funny how they do that. Here, black people, you have a little bit of success. All right, give your money to the Jews. Go buy some jewelry. It's literally called jewelry. Like that is, are you kidding me? That just happened to work out? It just worked out. Jewels, it just worked out that way. Whoever decided how we are going to speak, that was the way it worked out, huh? Funny, my page has been whittled down to 1 because what? How come if people don't like what I'm saying, they don't debunk what I'm saying? Why don't you help me understand what I'm getting wrong so then I don't say these things again and scare everybody away? my family is supposed to be concentration camp survivors. So before you get all upset with me, understand I'm talking about my own narrative as well. And truly, I think my family is Project Paperclip or Operation Paperclip. Which one is it? I can't remember. Yeah, it's Operation Project. Project or Operation. I always get them mixed up when it comes to that one. But I think that's my family. So it's really strange to think like there should be lots more of us out there. There should be lots and lots of us out there that talk about our family. Thousands. Thousands and thousands of Nazi soldiers, scientists, engineers. Like, think about it. Was there this huge, persecution of the Nazi soldiers? Like, what do you know of history-wise that talks about a whole bunch of Nazis getting arrested, put in jail forever, blah 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 blah? Didn't happen. That was part of their agreement to begin with. Okay, we'll do this shit, but there's no punishment when it's all over with. Yeah, no problem. I mean, some of you maybe, but not most of you. See, it's funny because here we go again with these commercials. When you see these commercials and you see who they're trying to appeal to, the Kamala commercials are trying to appeal to people who think and who ask questions and who, like seemingly care. The Trump commercials are geared towards stupidity. They're insulting. Like if you are a Trump supporter, you should be insulted by what they give you because it's embarrassing. Kamala Harris wants sex changes for transgender inmates. It's so stupid. And then they show the footage where it shows Kamala saying, yes, I believe that all inmates or all people of all genders or whatever should have access. And that's what it says. And then it cuts. It doesn't say access to health care, to the same treatment as regular, as access to safety. Then we don't know what she actually says. But the commercial tries to spin it as that she's saying that they should have access to transgender sex changes. So stupid. And just, the Trump supporter, they'll be here, I'm surprised they're not here where they come in and say, I am a proud Trump supporter. And that's all they say. They can't, they're so proud, they don't have anything to back up said pride or explain said pride, justify said pride. I'm so proud of everything I say. I'm so incredibly proud that in this sea of propaganda and bullshit that I am strong enough and smart enough to have anti-Semitism, to practice anti-Semitism. Because that's in this society. Kanye West called the sitting president a racist. George Bush does not care about black people. During a time when black people had been turned into refugees in their own country, and there was all this talk of revolt, and it was really a really tumultuous time, intense time, and there were all these race lines being divided and blah blah blah. And Kanye went on national TV on the hurricane or on the hurricane relief thing that everybody was watching, and supposedly went off the script and said George Bush does not care about black people. Mike Myers was like, oh my God, I can't believe you just said that. And they cut to something else. Mike Myers' face is hilarious. Dumb Jew. And And that didn't get him canceled. He was his shit blew up. I mean, he became ultra famous for that one. Infamous, if you will. Made a lot of money after that statement. Almost like he did his job. Didn't get canceled for potentially, yeah, starting, that could have been riot forming. That could have been really horrible thing, right? And so you have Kanye doing that, but then Kanye says, I'm going to go DEFCON 3 on the Jews. I can say what I want about the Jews. I am also Semitic, so I can say what I want. I can't be anti-Semitic, he says. And he says that everyone in Hollywood has Jews in their contract. And then he proceeds to throw nothing but black people under the bus. That got him canceled. When he talked about the Jews, that got him canceled. When he made vague nothing threat, I'm going to go DEFCON 3 on the Jews. That's nothing. And none of us would know about it if the Jew media didn't tell us to care. Nobody follows Kanye West. Nobody's sitting there waiting. Oh man, Kanye's tweets, I can't believe it. If it weren't for the news telling me, I would have never known about it. Distracting me. So while they put Netanyahu back in charge, we are all learning the rules about this upcoming disaster. We're learning that we can't make threats against Jews, and we can't even talk about like what could be spun as a good thing. If I was the Jew PR man, I would have said, yeah, Jews work very, very hard to provide a platform for everyone of every race and every creed, every nation, everything. They're allowed to be heard by the world because, yes, a lot of Jews work behind the scenes in Hollywood, and we're very proud of that. Could easily have debunked that whole thing and could have just disappeared. Instead, it's the typical dumb Jew response of, hey, you can't say that. Don't say that. What are you doing? Come on. Oh. That's all it ever is. Watch Michael Rappaport. What I wouldn't give to be able to sit across the table from Michael Rappaport and have a fucking debate. That guy is the dumbest fucking piece of shit. Like, he is such a stereotype dumbass piece of shit. And basically all he ever does is cry and tell us that we're not allowed to feel how we feel or say what we say. Doesn't deny any of it. Doesn't deny, laughs at it. Laughs at the supremacy and everything. If you hate Jews and you're scared to say it, say Zionist. It's not about being scared to say it, you dumb bitch. It's that we're not allowed to say it. Most people believe they're going to lose their shit if they say it, and they will. You got a job and you work for any sort of corporation or any sort of like chain, anything like that. You put on your Facebook page how you hate Jews. Watch how quickly you get fired. When your fucking Facebook page gets blocked. It's really strange. They've started to. That's always been the thing. They've started to make it so now you can't say anything. I hate Christians. I hate Muslims. Now you're going to get blocked for any of it. But for the longest time, you could bash the other things without any sort of real worry. I mean, maybe if you had somebody that got enough of a bee in their bonnet, they could create problems for you. But last week I had 4,000 something views, several videos with hundreds of views, and now I'm only allowed to have 2. Why is that? Do you think that what I'm talking about isn't shit that is like if you look up trending right now, Israel is going to be one of the highest, top 5 trending topics every day, day in, day out. The election, same thing. Weather modification, same thing. I'm willing to talk about whatever you want to talk about. I want to hear what I'm wrong about. I don't even want to hear people come in here and tell me how much they like what I'm doing or whatever. Please come tell me what I'm wrong about. That's how I learn. I need to learn from all of this, and I need your guys' help. And it's always strange how difficult it is to find opposition. It's amazing to me that I can't find a single Jew that has enough pride in what they believe to come in here and tell me, stand up to me. They must know better. I mean, at the end of the day, what can they say? I'd love to hear somebody justify what's happening. Like, how do you do it? Your perception of things is generally the problem. I had a friend say something like, well, Hezbollah is really bad. Hezbollah is bad people and blah, blah, blah. It's like, really? So when the Jews attack, Hezbollah is not supposed to do anything in response? And the thing is, really, this idea of Hezbollah being... If anybody can show me any proof of Israel being attacked over the last, quite a while, I'd love to hear it. I'd love to see it. And especially attacks, multiple attacks, to offset the Israeli attacks. Because those are plentiful. You can easily find multiple examples of Israel attacking Lebanon, Gaza, Syria, you name it. I mean, Israel's been picking fights with everybody. I think about it like it's like you could see it on that level, right? Like on this genocide, blah, blah, blah level. And it's huge, it's disgusting. But when you bring it down to like a personal level, and it's just like, from me to you to me, in our everyday American society, why do you think Jews are off limits? Why do you think Jews, who make up 0.183% of the world's population, and they say 2 to 4% of the United States population, but I doubt it, why would they matter? I mean, even a little bit, when you think about it. Like, blacks make up 13% of the United States population. Sorry about that. They say that blacks make up 13% of the population. But I mean, it just, why would anybody care about what, if like a candidate, it's amazing how much they openly make it seem like each candidate, like it's important that each candidate appeal to the Jews support Israel and all this shit. And we're like, appeal to 2% of the population? What the fuck does that even mean? Why? Why would they matter more than anyone else? 2% is it's a joke. They should be some of the last people given a shit about. And yet their satisfaction is always the most important. It's more important than Christian status. It's more important than any of that. I can't tell you how many times it's almost like YouTube's purposefully fucking with me at this point. And really, would it be that surprising? I guess to you guys maybe it would be. I must sound crazy or whatever. But I've believed and I think I've proven that I've caught the ire of Israel like years ago. And why wouldn't I? I'm openly talking about the thing we're not allowed to talk about. You know what I mean? Of course. And they are the ones who supply us with Facebook, supply us with YouTube, supply us with, they control all of the shit. So why wouldn't I be interfered with? Why would they allow me to reach the numbers that I should be at? Because they know the last thing they can do is again, they tried it again the other day. They pulled whatever the block was to see what would happen, and just like always, my shit pops into the thousands. You show me other people that do that just randomly. They're just randomly getting thousands of views. Okay, cool. By the time they're done. And then suddenly the feed just stops and no more. Interesting how that works, right? But they provide us with absolutely provide us with YouTube. And every day, every single day, I block at least one, like 5-10 second short. Like a lot of times there are these quick ones where unless you're waiting for it, you can't even block it. Like it goes by so fast. But I'm routinely, consistently blocking commercials and reporting those commercials for hate. I report the commercial for hate. I tell them I don't want to hear anything these piece of shit Jews have to say. I don't support them. Stop this. And then when it says, was this helpful at the bottom, I click no. And then it says why. And I tell them because you guys keep showing me this Jewish propaganda bullshit and I hate it. And every single day I'm blocking commercials that talk about Kamala is, no matter what, whether she's wavered in the past on this or that, she's always staunchly supported Israel. And of course, me as a dumb goyim, I don't get to go ask Kamala Harris, my president, why do you support Israel? God, I wish I could somehow, infiltrate one of those meetings, those things where they have the pre-selected question askers get up there and read the question they're supposed to ask. I wish I could somehow infiltrate that and just flat out ask, hey, why do you support Israel? And just stop. I just want to hear what they have to say. Israel has a right to defend itself. Yeah, but doesn't everybody? Like, that's not a thing. They make it sound like that's a thing, but that's not a thing. Everybody has a right to defend themselves. Who doesn't have a right to defend themselves? That's the narrative that keeps getting pushed, but Israel's not under attack. Israel's doing the attacking. So if they're doing the attacking, doesn't everybody else have the right to defend themselves? It's so insultingly stupid, and that's the kind of shit where it's like I'll never get to ask those questions. I'll never get answers to those questions from either side of this fucking bullshit. I'd love to hear what Trump has to say. Trump would just go off on some dumb tangent about, I couldn't even tell you because he doesn't know me or anything I stood by, or so he wouldn't be able to say, well, you were a jerk because you. Why would you support Israel? They're the most genocidal, warmongering, fear-mongering, supremacist, war crime committing country in the fucking world, by far. They're openly committing war crimes every fucking day, and it's just like, yeah, well, the UN doesn't have the power to do anything because the U.S. just vetoes every the U.S. has veto power, so every resolution and everything that comes up that the UN tries to do, supposedly, the U.S. just vetoes it, and then it just goes away. It's the craziest shit, man. It's crazy to think that that there's any question that there's a Jewish conspiracy. That there's any denial of a Jewish conspiracy. You know? Like everybody knows it. We just think we're not allowed to talk about it. It's crazy because I bring it up to strangers all the time. I talk about it to anybody that, as soon as somebody starts talking about the negativity and the bad parts of the world, and blah, 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 and this, and I always bring up the Jews, and they're always like, well, yeah, that's true, man. That's true. And it's like they're shocked to hear somebody saying it, especially somebody that looks like me, because you've been told your whole life that the only people that talk like I do are white supremacists or fucking Farrakhan supporters or some shit. Sorry to bust your bubble, but that's not how this shit works. I know when I was growing up, I thought the Jew-controlled entertainment machine taught me that skinheads were going to be an everyday part of life. I thought for sure I would have to deal with skinheads on a regular basis. Especially being a person of color, I thought, Jesus, man. When I grew up, these skinhead adults are going to be everywhere, because I dealt with a bunch of racist kids and they were irritating and just idiots. This shit was so stupid. I thought for sure that fucking the skinheads would be a big problem, and they weren't. I've like, I can't even tell you that. I don't even know. Like, I don't know of any times where skinheads did something. A bunch of skinheads got together and attacked a Jewish blah blah. Nothing. That's never happened. A bunch of skinheads got together and went to a fucking black place and caused. Nope. The only time you ever see anything close to that is like the KKK parades or some shit. But even then, it's like you look up white supremacist versus black guy, and the picture that always comes up is like that little bitty white guy pissing his pants with the black guy coming at him. Growing up, I always, it would be amazing to me, like, okay, so the KKK or the white supremacists, whoever it is, they somehow booked a permit that now the more police have been brought in who are then protecting these guys. Wow, that's strange. That's strangely like efficient, and it seems straight like that's just weird. And of course, it's when you step back and you think, why is it allowed? Well, who does it show us, right? It shows us some guys. You're either gonna see like the subordinates are just these, goofy white guys, a couple of fat chicks here and there, goofy white guys, who don't have blonde hair and blue eyes, but they're all trash. Interview every single one of them, and every single one of them is like, yeah, I had to run away. My dad was an alcohol, beat my ass all the time, so blah blah. It's like consistent. The narrative is consistent across the board. And then you see that the supposed leaders, who are these guys in fucking goofy pajamas, these nice silk robes. Well, I'm a Grand Dragon Master Wizard. They got these goofy hats. Like, they look stupid. And they're never like, it's not a person of color. It's not it's some angry white guy who, has his little compound that he has all these runaway boys come to, who like to sit around shirtless, and nobody talks about what goes on behind that closed door. But like, it's an embarrassment. What they're doing by airing it is embarrassing you. They're shaming you. They're saying, oh, if you think like these guys think about anything, that's what you are. You're part of this tribe. You're part of this trash tribe. Can't be some intellectual tribe that's saying, hey, these fucking disgusting Jews are controlling the narrative, blah, blah, blah. Look at what they're doing. I can articulate myself without too much twang. Sorry, but the twang makes you sound stupid. I know. I hears it. I actually hears it this time. It's just wild, man. And that's just more of the manipulation. This is how they operate. Right? This is what they do. They manipulate us into thinking things without realizing that's what we're doing. Like, this is how they get us to think it's our own thoughts. You present us with this terrible ugliness, and you say, hey, this is who sounds like you do. And they're saying that to the same people that they say, hey, the clothes you bought this year aren't good. You have to get new clothes, so you have this year's fashion. Buy more clothes. Those same people, that's who they're trying to appeal to. And they do. And they tell you, man, you don't want to be like that, do you? You don't want to be lumped in. Like, they even did it with Kanye, remember? When the supposed Goyim Defense League, who they touted as being a white supremacist group, the news touted them as being a white supremacist group. They were a group who held signs at the freeway that said Kanye was right. And somehow that made it, of all the things, this random sign that 99.9% of us would have never seen or known anything about is broadcast all over the place. and they're saying this group is this white supremacist group is associated with Kanye West. Because that's the only narrative they know how to do. You start talking about anything with the Jews and they're going to lump you in with that white supremacist bullshit when it's, because they're not prepared for that shit. They're not prepared for us, the homogenized version. Huh? Yeah, I'll let you know. They're letting us know that, like, this is who you are. You think this way, you talk about these things. This is who you are. And we're too dumb to see it. Guys, if you're watching, share, man. Clearly I'm being censored. Take 2 seconds, take the address and put it on Facebook, man. Share this with people. Bring people here. Share it with the heading. Come tell this guy he's crazy, if that's what you need to do. Whatever it takes. It's okay that we talk about these things. Why aren't more of us talking about these things? It's not like it's even being hidden from us this time. It's being broadcast right in front of our faces. Jew, 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 everything Jew. Israel, Israel, Israel. They're challenging you to talk about it. The schools, there's protests happening at the schools. They're just not talking about it so that you don't, so you feel alone. You see these commercials that say, put it all over the world. If you've watched the World Series, you've seen the timeout for hate or whatever it is. They're manipulating you. They're trying to tell you you can't hate something. Well, what if that thing is awful? I'm not supposed to hate that thing especially if that thing's a supremacist group that's against me. I'm not supposed to hate them. The idea of lumping Jewish and black or any other like identity in together, Jewish is a choice. You don't have to be Jewish. Now, granted, there's definitely a look, so I don't know how we do classify that. But you can always say, no, I'm not Jewish. I think that's awful. I don't support supremacy in any form, so I don't support that either. Like, it's really, really, the conspiracy is this big, convoluted thing, but it's really simple at its core. It touches on lots of different things, and it's, the webs are everywhere. But at its core, it's Jewish. And we need to be able to talk about this openly without, whether I'm right or wrong. Because if I'm wrong, then I need to be able to talk about these things and then be told what I'm wrong about so that I don't think them anymore. If I just continue thinking I'm right, well, I'm going to keep talking about it and thinking I'm right. I mean, it's pretty simple. And it seems like it would be anything, right? Anything out there. If I was wrong, why wouldn't somebody come tell me, oh, hey, dude, you're getting this wrong? When I fucked up my math yesterday, people were quick to point that shit out. You were wrong. Oh, yeah, I was wrong. Shit, I messed up. Thanks for pointing it out. I would have sounded stupid if I kept getting it wrong. Huh? What?
Come on, Broly.
Oh, no.
I think this is bad. Joe was walking by and
We need to understand, like I say, the conspiracy isn't unbelievable, right? It isn't hard to wrap your head around or anything like that. It's tremendous, and it affects everything. but it's not. You're definitely smart enough to see it, and that's what they love to do with things. Is like, like when it comes to space, or it comes to technology, whatever. They love to try to make you feel stupid. They'll use a bunch of big words, and they'll formulas and shit that you sit there and you look at and you go, well, that don't make no sense.
Gabby?
And that's how you're supposed to think.
Gabby?
You're supposed to accept the idea that the people that are making the rules are making the rules because they're so much smarter than you. They can understand the jargon that they're giving you, and you have to be a super smart person to be able to understand the jargon. That's how this works.
I'll be up for just 1 second.
But the reality is, my kid said it earlier. What did he say? Something like, what'd you say, Nate? About the more you know? What? What did you say earlier when you said the more you know, the dumber you sound, or something like that?
No. The more you know, the less life is surprising.
No, that's not what you said. No, you said something about how dumb you were talking about how stupid everything is. And you said something like the more you know, the dumber you sound, or something like that. And that's the truth. Most people just don't realize it. When you start accepting notions of like, everything that has to do with space travel. How about this? How about the James Webb Space Telescope? You'll use arguments like, dude, come on now. What do you think, that James Webb, what, all that shit's just blah, 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 it's just not real? And you just don't understand. Like, if I ask you, well, how does the James Webb work? If I ask you, where is the James Webb Space Telescope? How many of you actually know that answer? I would imagine it's very few. Very, very few of you. Because I didn't know until I looked it up. It was like, it's one of those things like the the lazy dog bomb that we read about yesterday that apparently was so prominent and all that, but none of us have ever heard of it. It's the same shit. When it comes to the James Webb Space Telescope, the James Webb Space Telescope lives in the, oh, what the fuck? Oh, why can't I remember this right now? Oh my God, I can't believe I can't remember this word right now. The guy's name. The point. What are they called? The something points. Oh, come on. Now I gotta fucking look it up. The Lagrange point. God damn it! Why couldn't I remember that? So here, let me look up what the Lagrange. Well, I'll tell you what I'm going to say beforehand, and then we'll look it up. Okay. So all of you believe our solar system is kind of like a fried egg with the sun in the middle, and then the planets are the white part, are in different parts of the white part, but it all goes out in like a flat plane out into the solar system. Got it. Lagrange points. Lagrange was a guy in the late 1700s. He's one of those magical polymaths from the late 1770s. You know, those guys that could do everything? Yeah, he's one of them. So he calculated, based on a formula that I guess he came up with, considering the weight of the earth and the weight of the sun and the distance from the earth to the sun and the gravity and the blah 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 blue bling 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 blam, that there are 5 points around each planet that are basically these zones that get pulled along by the earth or whatever other planet it is, and you can put things there and they'll just stay in that same spot, locked into the earth, because the spot moves. And so there's one ahead of the earth in the orbit, one behind the earth in the orbit, two in between the earth and Venus, I guess, and then one past the earth. And that one is where the James Webb lives, because that one is perpetually in the earth's shadow, and the sun doesn't shine in that spot. It's like a little bubble. It's a little bubble out in space that you can just put stuff in, and it'll get pulled. So when we go, well, how does the James Webb, how does it fuel itself? It doesn't have to fuel itself, stupid. It's 1.5 million, 1 million to 1.5 million miles away from the Earth. That plane, that little spot drifts depending on where we are, I guess. So at its closest point, it's 1 million, and at its furthest point, it's 1.5 million miles away from the Earth. And you would imagine that it's big, but it's not like big compared to space. It would have to be a relatively small bubble that we were able to hit flying on a planet that's going 67,000 miles an hour around the sun. We were able to shoot something in a direction and calculate that it would happen to run right into that Lagrange point, as the Lagrange point would be zooming by at 67,000 miles per hour. And we did it. First try. Remember how the Hubble broke and they had to spend all that time repairing it and all that other shit? Not the James Webb. And the thing is, when they launched the James Webb, so they took the James Webb up in a space shuttlecraft thing, and it came out of the back of the space shuttlecraft thing, where it then unfolded its giant arms that made the big giant sails, space sails, that it then flew to its destination. Now, you guys probably think I'm lying and adding hyperbole to kind of make it sound funny. No, this is what you have to believe. Best part is, You want to see this monumental launch of this James Webb Space Telescope and then unfolding of the arms and then flying out into space. They have conveniently made a nice animation for you to watch because actually filming it wasn't a thing, I guess. Nobody thought to actually film this incredible accomplishment, this incredible thing. It wasn't like they went live while they did it, like they do with their convenient spacewalks in the pool. No, the launching of this craft that's going to change our understanding of the universe and yiggity yada giddy yoogity and this multi-billion-dollar thing and all this stuff, we get an animation for. Now, if I got any of that wrong, please tell me. Please tell me. So that was my dumbass telling you, right? James Webb Space Telescope, JWST, is located in a halo orbit around the second Lagrange point, which is about 1.5 million kilometers, 1 million miles from the Earth. Webb orbits the Sun 1.5 million kilometers away from the Earth. That is what is called the second Lagrange point, or L2. Let's see. Should we look up James Webb and just go from there? NASA. Let's go to Wiki, because Wiki is how you can go from place to place. Understand, I've read this before, but I want to read it again. James Webb Space Telescope, JWST, is a space telescope designed to conduct infrared astronomy. So, you know the best part about infrared astronomy? Right off the bat, first sentence. Infrared astronomy is, they say that they shoot infrared footage, and then the image comes back as this digital infrared signal that is then interpreted by the computer and either given to an artist to make, the data is given to the artist to make the picture, or at this point I would assume the computers can just do it. But the computers then create the image based on the, quote, data given that's in infrared. So all those beautiful pictures with all the crazy colors and all that shit, that's literally a composite image. It's not an actual picture because it doesn't even take actual pictures like you think. Right off the bat, they're telling you that this is all just a lie. It takes pictures in infrared. You know the spectrum that we can't see in? Yeah. Yeah, that's what it works in, and then it's changed. It's changed into the image that you see through careful calculations, and that's the James Webb Space Telescope Wikipedia page. As the largest telescope in space, it is equipped with high resolution and high sensitivity instruments, allowing it to view objects too old, distant, or faint for the Hubble telescope. This enables investigations across many fields of astronomy and cosmology, such as observation of the first stars and the formation of the first galaxies, and the detailed atmospheric characterization of potentially habitable exoplanets. So this is that notion that because light travels blah 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 these great distances, and the light that we see in the sky is millions of, like, originally left the star millions of years ago, blah blah blah. So what they claim is that with these telescopes, if they look, they can basically look back in time. So they're looking through this magical telescope. They can now look at the formation of galaxies and the first stars. Let's see what they say about first stars. Population 3 stars are ready for this, here we go. Help fight hate. Fight hate. How about we embrace hate? Hate is a good thing. When it's pointed in the right direction. I mean, I hate pedophiles. You gonna tell me I shouldn't? Population 3 stars are a hypothetical population of extremely like right when you hear that you go, oh well, bullshit. Possible glow of population 3 stars imagined by NASA's Spitzer Space Telescope. Okay, so why would a telescope be... Oh, it said imaged. My bad. My bad. I fucked up. Imaged. Imaged. It was imaged by... What does that even mean? What is imaged by? Is that... Does that... The composite creation that is the photograph that we see? Is that what they're telling you? Because it's not a picture. This wasn't photographed by the NASA Spitzer Space Telescope. This was imaged by that. So if it's imaged, again, that's a creation. That's a composite. Again, this is what you have to know. I'm not reading the conspiracy pages. I'm reading what all of you who believe the earth is round, you have to accept all of this too. Well, hypothetical population of extremely massive, luminous, and hot stars with virtually no metals, except possibly for intermixing ejecta from other nearby early population 3 supernovae. The term was first introduced by Neville J. Wolfe in 1965. Such stars are likely to have existed in the very early universe, i.e., at high redshift, and may have started the production of chemical elements heavier than hydrogen, which are needed for the later formation of planets and life as we know it. You understand? It's just straight up bullshit. This is the smartest people in the world kind of shit. And it's like, I would love to have the debate with the astrophysicist, excuse me, whatever he may be. She. Yeah, I've been watching this channel. Oh, yeah, nothing to see here. Nothing to see here. But I've been watching this channel, and they have their white Neil deGrasse Tysons, and it's just interesting how, like, this one guy, he's such a goof, and then the chick as well. They're just these goofy Jews, and they're telling you these stories so super enthusiastically that you think, oh, well, it must be true. How do you have such enthusiasm if it's not true? Look, sweets. This is the possible glow of population 3 stars imaged by NASA's Spitzer Space Telescope. See that? Population 3 stars are a hypothetical population of extremely massive, luminous, and hot stars with virtually no metals, except for possibly the intermixing ejecta from other nearby early population 3 supernovae.
Ejecta sounds gross.
Okay, so if population 3 stars are these hypothetical blah blah blah, with virtually no metals except for the ejecta from other population 3 stars, well, if they have no metals, then why would they have ejecta?
Well, the ejecta's from the other stars around them. It's not from those.
No, it's from the other population 3 stars. Because the population 3 stars are, they're saying that the first stars. When I clicked on first stars, it took me to this prompt.
My math's just called math.
My math is just called math. The term was first introduced by Neville J. Wolfe in 1965. Such stars are likely to have existed in the very early universe, i.e., at high redshift, and may have started the production of chemical elements heavier than hydrogen, which are needed for the later formation of planets and life as we know it. So this is the smartest people in the world shit, right? And they're using words like may have, possibly. Like, this is the shit where it's just so fascinating to me because people automatically assume that because they're told by NASA, because they're told by the shepherd that they've deemed to be the one in the correct, the correct person, the correct shepherd, they just accept it. And the thing is, it's what's been told to them by their parents. It's what's been forced on them by TV and in school and all that. Forced through school because in school you had to regurgitate this. If you don't regurgitate this, you get bad grades. If you get bad grades, you get in trouble. You lose your shit. You don't get to go outside, whatever it is. So it behooved you to repeat this shit, regurgitate it word for word if necessary, because you wanted the best grade possible. Or if you were really smart, you could regurgitate it word for word, but you would switch the words around so it wasn't plagiarism. Right? Now, as an adult who doesn't have to say the same thing, looking at what they're saying to me just sounds so stupid. I can't believe that billions and billions of dollars, trillions of dollars goes into this shit. People can't eat. North Carolina, the Carolinas, the Appalachians are just fucked. We give money to Israel and we dump money into this bullshit so they can give me hypotheticals and what? Imaged. The existence of population 3 stars is inferred from physical cosmology, but they have not yet been observed directly. Because remember, what they tell us is that the more powerful the telescope is, the farther back we can look in time.
Forrest Saunders.
Why would we, if the light took millions of years to get here?
How could we look back?
Right. How could we look directly? Like, wouldn't it take just as long,
To go back.
even longer actually, because we don't see at the speed of light, do we? So it would take even longer for the image to reach that initial point. If it took millions of years to get, you know what I mean? It's just, you get it.
Yeah.
That can't be a thing. How insulting is it that they tell us that they look back in time with these telescopes? Indirect evidence for their existence has been found in a gravitationally lensed galaxy in a very distant part of the universe. So I'm watching this show from the early 2000s, on this channel, this space show, and it's a documentary on them finding, the discovery of the first exoplanets and blah blah blah. And you hear, so the first planet discovered, the way they discover it is they say that seeing the star, if they look, they can see that the star has a slight wobble to it. And that slight wobble is because the gravity from the exoplanet is pulling on the star. So that's how they're able to detect stars that have planets on them. So I go, what? We have planets all over our fucking solar system. Which planets are pulling on our sun and which ones aren't? And how is our star wobbling from the I mean, are you fucking serious? And so then they say that they'll be able to tell because they'll be looking at a star and they'll be able to see, the first star that they detected was a planet. The first planet they detected was one, I think it was a super Jupiter, but it threw them for a loop because it defied their expectations because it went around the sun in 7 days or something like that. I don't remember, but it was like it zipped around the sun and they could see it because they're looking at it through a telescope on Earth. And now remember, the James Webb sees in the James Webb Space Telescope, all those pretty pictures that the James Webb has shown us.
They're beautiful.
The James Webb takes pictures in infrared. How many infrared pictures have you seen?
They're fake.
Right. So they're infrared that the computer then interprets and spits out the pretty image. Meaning, literally, like she just said, it's fake. If they say that it's infrared, then they don't have to provide you with an image and be like, well, here is the picture. This way they can just provide us with the composites. And that's what this is. Indirect evidence for their existence has been found in a gravitationally lensed galaxy in a very distant part of the universe. Their existence may account for the fact that heavy elements, which could not have been created in the Big Bang, they have rules. Our little planet that supposedly exists 13 billion years after the Big Bang exploded is saying that elements could not have been created in the Big Bang explosion. How could, if everything came from the Big Bang, how could it not be part of the Big Bang? The arrogance of this nonsense. This is why when you start getting into the space conversation, it's all like incredible arrogance and fantasy and shit designed to make you feel stupid and small so that you comply. But as soon as you start saying, like, it doesn't make sense, not because you're too stupid to understand, but because it's dumb. It really just falls apart really quickly. So again, which could not have been created in the Big Bang because they know those rules, are observed in quasar emission spectra. They're also thought to be components of faint blue galaxies. These stars likely triggered the universe's period of ionization, a major phase transition of, like, a lot of these words are blue. So phase transition is another one of these words they just sort of created to make their narrative. Well, they didn't. Either they did or ChatGPT did. But of the hydrogen gas composing most of the interstellar medium. Wait. A major phase transition of the hydrogen gas composing most of the interstellar medium. Observations of the galaxy UDFY 381355539. One of my favorites, I may say. I love the way UDFY 381355939 shines. And if and on certain days UDFY 381355539 looks a lot brighter than other days, because other days UDFY 381355539 just has a less of a shine to it. One day though, I hope to go to UDFY 3813555. Seriously, that's what we're doing now. Can you imagine how hard that conversation is? Suggests that it may have played a role in this reionization process. Okay. So, not only are they looking back in time with their telescopes, they can figure out which galaxies played a role in which events that took place. It was 100 years ago that we figured out how to fly. And now we know this shit. The European Southern Observatory discovered a bright pocket of early population stars in the very bright galaxy Cosmos Redshift 7 from the reionization period around 800 million years after the Big Bang. This is fucking dumb. I don't feel dumb. I don't sit here and go, man, I feel stupid that I can't understand this. This feels dumb to me. Let me repeat this. Ange, please pay attention to this part. The European Southern Observatory discovered a bright pocket of early population stars in the very bright galaxy Cosmos Redshift 7 from the reionization period around 800 million years after the Big Bang at Z equals 6.60.
Okay. What about it?
Can you explain it to me?
Almost. This pocket of stars was created in this gallery during the reionization period at this location, the Z whatever.
Yeah, but how do they know that?
Because Moses put it down on the stone tablet.
Oh, okay. So they can see, not only can they see back in time, they can be like, I can see 800 million years, or I can see 900 million years.
Yeah.
Or I can see 600 million years. And then the Big Bang is 13 billion years. So like in that equation, 800 million years is here, whereas the Big Bang would be all the way here. And they can differentiate between all those different. I wonder what the rulers marked in. Is it 100 million years? Is that can they go lower than that? Can they be like, that's actually 853 million years, 853,225,000? Like, are they that good at it? What telescopes are we using? These are the infrared telescopes, right? Or are these what? What? Did you say something? She said something. So, it's because I'm stupid that this sounds stupid. If I was really smart, this would make a lot more sense. Cosmos Redshift 7. The rest of the galaxy has some later redder population 2 stars. Some theories hold that there were 2 generations of population 3 stars. What was the key word in that last sentence, sweetheart? Some theories hold that there were 2 generations of population 3 stars.
Theories.
Ah. You're stupid. God, she's stupid. Why are you so stupid? That is science. Science is infallible. Science is indefinite. Science is definite. Okay? They say it's theoretically a couple of different things, then that's what it is. It's actually not even theories. It's some theories. You got to look at, because there are other theories that are like, that's bullshit. We are very smart over here, and we say it's something completely different. Do you understand? Like, when you think science is that infallible thing, the science, medical, blah, blah, the whole community over in Europe thinks circumcision is barbaric and shouldn't be done. So why is the science different here in the United States? All the scientific reasons that apply here in the United States don't apply when you go over to Europe? That's weird. Oh, here. Look. Can you read what the caption is below that?
Artist's impression of the first stars 400 million years after the Big Bang.
Wow, those look so much different than other stars do. How did those stars formulate? Well, so it was like an explosion, right? And I'm like the way they say it. So they say that it was an explosion. So the Big Bang exploded in all directions, sending material in every direction. Yet somehow, at some point, instead, so if you explode out from something, the further you get, the further everything becomes away from each other. And yet they try to say that somehow this explosion that took place, like that galaxies can run into each other. Well, they wouldn't, because they'd all be going in separately, like the same direction, but in parallel directions. Nothing would be going across. And like the way they make it seem like it's just it's either we're moving in multiple directions and all that. It's like, it's stupid. But so the gravity, as this explosion happens, somehow in the explosion that took place see, I really want to look up what the official account of the Big Bang is. Let's look that up. You ready? The Big Bang is a physical... What do you think the next word is?
Impression is the other one.
Close. Theory.
Theory.
Yeah. The Big Bang is a physical theory, which has its own thing. Physical theory is blue. So a physical theory is a branch of physics that employs mathematical models and abstractions of the physical. See, and again, so within the first line, you have 3 words that you're going to have to probably look up to be able to get an understanding of. Abstractions of physical objects and systems to rationalize, explain, and create natural phenomenon. This is to experimental physics, which uses experimental tools to probe these phenomena. So, this is a nice way of saying these are ideas. These are just some ideas somebody came up with, and there's no real experimental physics to prove it. Like,
the thing about all of this shit is there's literally no testing it or proving any of it. It's not like they can build a little warehouse that they can simulate an environment where there's a nothing. I mean, again, the Big Bang for me is we'll find out. We'll find out. So even look, the okay, the Big Bang is a physical theory that describes how the universe expanded from an initial state of high density and temperature. The notion of an expanding universe was first scientifically originated by physicist Alexander Friedman in 1922 with the mathematical diversion or der, diver, derivation of the Friedman equations. So I always think this is strange because you always see this sort of tunnel thing, right? But it would be going in every direction, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
So why do they always show this tunnel thing? Okay, so what does this say? This says quantum fluctuations are first. Inflation is second, with afterglow light patterns for, I guess, 375,000 years, which is, looks like the Earth. Looks like the flat Earth model to me. It's pretty funny. Then there's the Dark Ages. Why would that be? Then suddenly, like, you got to think about it as a big ball, right? Instead of this tunnel thing, you have the light ball that explodes. There's this afterglow light pattern. Well, and then there's the Dark Ages, which, I mean, if everything is exploding out, then this would have to be like in reverse, right? Like, this doesn't make sense. Like, you don't have an explosion and then an afterglow and then a dark period and then stars come out of that and that's not how it would work. An explosion we would be on the other side of the explosion, right? Like, you wouldn't be able to see that. That's backwards. You know, you have the explosion and then the afterglow, which is followed by a dark period, and then the first stars just appear out of that and then keep exploding out. How does that make sense? There wouldn't be a dark period. First stars about 400 million years. The development of galaxies, planets, etc. Big Bang expansion. Dark energy accelerated expansion. That's dumb.
How you doing?
That's really weird.
I'm so glad to hear that.
Timeline of the expansion of the universe, where space, including hypothetical non-observed portions of the universe, is represented at each time by the circular sections. On the left, the dramatic explosion occurs in the inflationary epoch, and at the center, the expansion accelerates. Right, so again, if it's an explosion, then the bright explosion should exist,
Yep.
and after the explosion, the stars should in the galaxy should be like falling out of the explosion, not as a result of like do you understand, like the explosion
Yeah.
wouldn't be pushing stars out past it. The explosion, everything would have to follow the explosion. That's interesting. This is dumb.
Yeah.
Independent of free, like it really doesn't make any sense. The idea of the Big Bang doesn't make any sense. If this is the explanation of it,
Yeah.
it's a backwards dumb theory. Especially this idea of the expanding universe. Because I mean, again, but see, that's just it. They're trying to make sense of something that doesn't make sense, and they need to be distracting us in ways that we can't we can't compute. We can't, we can't do anything with it because what they're talking about, you and I, average goyim, we don't have access to the technologies and whatnot that you would need to even begin to test this stuff or look into this stuff to prove it one way or another.
Yeah.
We literally have to trust 100% what a system that needs us to believe in it for it to even exist, and therefore they get paid to do it. If we stop accepting what they say, all these fuckers lose jobs and all that shit, and they lose really good jobs, good do nothing jobs where they theorize all day and they get paid really well for it. Like that, of course they have incentive to keep the lie going.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, this is really interesting. Independent of Friedman's work, the Big Bang was first proposed in 1931 by Roman Catholic priest and physicist Georges Lemaitre,
Right.
when he suggested the universe emerged from a primeval atom. Various cosmological models of the Big Bang explain the evolution of the observable universe from the earliest known periods through its subsequent large-scale form. See, again, this is all stuff that you have to trust.
Oh, I know.
You just have to put your faith in the system because you'll never see this. You'll never figure this out. And the reality is, I am not going to do this right now. I've been live for far too long. I got too much to do, and I'm sorry. So maybe we'll do it tomorrow. Big Bang. That'll be interesting. Pedophiles, kill yourself. Everybody else have a great day. Pedophiles, kill yourself.